Hello everyone, welcome to this session where I am going to discuss the 10 major functional differences between SAP ECC and SAP S/4HANA system. As you know, the most of the businesses are migrating to S/4HANA from ECC, or any business wish to implement SAP, they of course implement SAP S/4HANA. Most of the cases we observe the people either new to SAP or working with SAP products having gaps in understanding and ask the difference between the ECC and S4 systems. So here we are going to discuss only the major functional changes in S4 HANA system. I'll come again with the technical changes in S4 HANA systems later on in a separate video. Hi guys, I'm Satya, a certified SAP professional having more than a decade of SAP implementation, support and training experiences. So let's get into it. As you know, we have two systems, SAP ECC 6.0 and SAP S/4HANA. In ECC system, we have different levels of details stored in the respective component tables. That is why in ECC we have several database tables. In fact, we have more than 10,000 tables are there. And to move the data to the appropriate table for reporting purpose, we need multiple BI extractors. And it is required to analyze the whole data in your business intelligence system. In S/4HANA system, Universal Journal was introduced. It combines many other traditional financial ledgers that is into the single table and which eliminates the needs of time-consuming reconciliation by its design. So what is this Universal Journal? You know the structure, as you can see, structures look like this. Universal Journal brings together the separated component, like for example, FICO, finance and controlling into one pool of relevant business data. As you know, in GL, we have SCOPA, we have asset accountings, material ledgers and controlling. These are the different or separate component which is linked with the Universal Journal. So Universal Journal is a single source of truth which collects all the account relevant transactions and makes them available to all the relevant application components. And all the transactions or all the postings to these applications are written in a single table, and that table name is ACDOCA table. Whereas in SAP CC we have multiple tables are there. In fact, more than 10,000 tables are there. The difference, and that we can see here. This is our S4 HANA system. If you can access the table to SA16N, and this is our table, ACDOCA tables. Explain. Now we'll find this. This is the Universal Journal line inventories, and you can find it in the company code, fiscal year, is a document number. If you put it and execute, you will find the details which is there in the S4 HANA system, in ECC system. If you log into the ECC system here, this is our ECC system. Execute the same transaction code here. You will see this table. We have several tables over here. In fact, more than 10,000 tables, and these tables are component specific. Different component has different tables, and we cannot access the ACDOCA table in ECC system. That is one. And next changes is traditional tables which were there in our ECC system. Those tables has been removed. Those tables are removed means we have index tables, we have aggregate tables, we have cluster tables, and from some transparent tables also there. So all these index tables contain open item and clear item of your ledger BL, your vendors and customer related transactions. Aggregate tables contains all the transaction figures or sum total of transaction figures related to the customer vendors or any GL related. Cluster tables, that is your BKPF and BSEC tables, those tables has been removed. In fact, BKPF and BSEC tables has been merged into the ACDOCA. So that is the second differences that we notice. And apart from these tables, we have some material ledger specific tables, assets related tables, and some other traditional tables that has already been simplified or modified. Next difference is in the business partner. So what is the business partner? Anybody can be a business partner in S4 HANA systems. But in ECC, BP is not a mandatory. Business partner is not a mandatory. So it replaced the classic in is S4 HANA, BP is a mandatory. So it replaced the classic vendor or customer master in S4 HANA system. So in ECC, to create any vendors or customer, to create the centralized vendors xk01, or to create a centralized customer xd01, or finance specific customer vendor your fd01 vd01, and purchasing specific vendors mk01. So these are all different T codes was used, but in S4HANA it is replaced with a single transaction code that is called business partner. So if you see here in ECC system, to create finance point of view, I'm telling it here. In accounts payable, you will see, go to the master data, to create the finance vendor FK01, but to create centralized system XK01. And if you double click, you will see systems give me the edge. So particular page that is to create the vendor. Similarly, customer also, you can also create the customers. Go to the account receivables, material FD01, auto create centralized XD01. So if you double click in the particular transaction code, it will direct you to the same page to create the customer. But that is not in the case of S4HANA. In S4HANA, BP is mandatory. So in order to create a customer vendor as a BP, so you need to put the transaction code as BP. ECC system, BP was not mandatory, but in S4HANA system, BP was mandatory. Both the existing previous T codes are exist already here in S4HANA system. If you go to the financial accounting, you still can see the transaction codes here, FK01 or XK01. If I double click here, it will direct me to the BP page here. It is asking to create the BP, whether the BP is created as a person's organization or a group. So that is the other differences which was there. Now next difference is asset accounting. So you can go to the next slides. Here we have a new asset accounting which is implemented in our SAP S4HANA system. So classic asset accounting has been replaced by new asset accounting, which eliminates the significant number of complexities around the solution. Example here, we have a delta depreciation. Delta depreciation area is no longer required for parallel valuation in S4HANA system. And there are so many changes has been done, but we'll discuss only the three things here. So what are the changes in asset accountings? We have delta depreciation no longer. If you go to the depreciation area here, go to the SPRO, reference IMG, financial accounting, that is the part of your asset accounting. Under asset accounting, if I can go to the copy reference chart of depreciation areas, and you can use the random depreciation area here. Now see here, book depreciation and tax depreciations are there. And these are all real depreciations area. In S4, we can take multiple depreciation areas just in the real time. Each depreciation area is independent. And accounting principle column has been added over here, which is not available in your ECC system. I show that in ECC system as well here. You go to the SPRO, reference IMG, same financial accounting. You go to the asset accounting. Under asset accountings, organized structures, copy reference depreciation. And if you use any depreciation area, now see here, target group, there is no accounting principal column over here in ECC system. Whereas in SAP S4 HANA system, this one is there. Another difference is, so real-time postings are as accounting principles, no more dependency depreciation areas. But in ECC, we cannot take multiple depreciation areas as our real depreciation area. That's why we use delta depreciation. That delta depreciation concept is not available in our S4 HANA system. It has been simplified. Next one is to go to the table levels. Introduction of new tables. We have some fact tables are there. These fact doc IT tables, it stores the statistical data. That is why it is previously it was stored in our ANLP table, ANLC tables, which are not available now. But in S4 HANA, it is stored in the fact table. Another one is all your plan values will be stored in like plan depreciation data or any revaluation of asset. Those data right now stores in fact or plan value. which was earlier stored in your NLP or NLC tables. So those changes is also there. Another one is introduction of your technical clearing account, which was very important in S4HANA. See, technical clearing account is nothing but it's just an interim account or a buffer account used to reconcile the difference that might occur between the transactions and accounting entries. Right? And that setting is there in our S4 HANA system. And if you can go to the asset accountings, we have integration concept, integration with the GL accounting is there. So if you can access it, now here you'll see technical clearing account for integrated asset condition. So this setting is mandatory. These two settings are mandatory. But this setting is not available in the ECC system. I show you in ECC system. And if you go to the same path, that is integrations, here you will see there is no such technical clearing account or integration with GL defined technical clearing account is not available here. So that is another differences in asset accounting. And next one, there is something called margin analysis. Margin analysis was introduced in your S4 HANA system. So earlier in ECC system, we have two types of profitability analysis. Okay, one is your costing based, another one is account based. If I can go to the ECC system here, it is a part of your controlling. Now, if I go to the controlling and profitability analysis, master data, define characteristic valuation. See here you will see there are two types of profitability analysis in ECC. One is costing based, another one is account based. But costing based COPA is available in some S4 HANA deployment scenario, but in cloud based it is not available. And but in S4 HANA system, if you can go to the S4 HANA system, let me go to the controlling and go to the profitability analysis, master data, define characteristics derivation. Here, costing based profitability analysis is there, margin analysis is there. Okay, so account based and costing based, but in S4 HANA it is known as margin analysis. That is there, or combined you can use. But there is no account based profitability analysis in S4 HANA. That is another changes. So these are most of the important changes that you should keep in mind while dealing with the S4 HANA system or migrating ECC to S4 HANA system projects, especially in the migration projects. And here you can see where ERP and S4 HANA which are available, which are not available. Next one is new SAP cash management. So what is that cash management? But before that, go to the secondary. We have a concept known as secondary cost element. That is the changes in sixth position. So secondary cost element earlier in ECCs, secondary cost element was not linked with a GL account. But in S4 HANA, secondary cost element is already linked with a GL account. If I can show you, while creating the GL account, S4 HANA system will provide you the options whether to create that GL account as a secondary cost element or primary cost element or a normal account. If I open any accounts here, go to the GL account type, your secondary cost element is available, primary cost and secondary. While creating this GL, you can always select secondary or primary, which was supposed to be converted, this GL account converted to this. But that option, this GL account type option, is not available in your SAP ECC system. In SAP ECC system, if you can go to the same page, that is FS00, and open any random GL accounts, let's say. So see here only account group is there. There is no GL account type. So there is no way you can create the secondary GL accounts with linking with the GL. Okay. So that is another important changes that has been made in S4 HANA system. Now next one is SAP cash management. SAP cash management is replaced in S4 HANA as a SAP new cash management, and which derive the different functionalities from financial supply chain management. Another one is credit management. Credit management also, which was based on FIAR in ECC, has been replaced by SAP Credit Management, which is based on the financial supply chain management. So in financial supply chain, credit management not pre-activated in SAP, which is switchable by customer. In S/4HANA, it is pre-activated, including your basic credit management as well as advanced credit management. If you want, you can activate. The options are available. So those are major changes. Another important concept is your material ledgers. So what is this material? Material ledger activation is mandatory in S/4HANA system, while it was optional in your SAP ECC system. Okay. So what is that actually this material? Material ledger, especially it is a line item wise, will record all the changes in the stock or inventory prices of each material movement into different currencies, especially up to three currencies. If you want to perform any actual costing for material, if you want to carry your material stock in multiple currency, or you want to evaluate your material stock in each posting period, ledger activation is mandatory. And for that, you need to go to the SPRO. It is a part of your controlling section, controlling and product cost controllings, actual costing slash material ledgers. And here you will see activate material ledger for each valuation. So these settings for each valuation area wise, you need to activate this material ledgers. When you activate it, will turn into the green color. Okay, that is this is mandatory in S/4HANA system. Okay. But the usage of material ledger for actual valuation is still optional. But material ledger choice in S/4HANA in ECC systems. So that is the yes. And next one is global trade service and new real estate. There are some changes happened in the global trade. Earlier we call it as a foreign trade functionality in material management. That has been replaced with the new global trade services. And new real estate was also implemented. Some of the changes has already been in the real estate, which is a separate component. And we have a real-time reporting in S4 HANA system. So these are some of the important changes that I have quickly explained it. For more details, if you want to learn any specific concept or topics on it in a FI or logistic modules, please comment so that I will come again with that particular topic. And that's it for now. Thanks.